Yo, what's going on? Yo, look, my heart goes out to you. See? My heart goes out to you for trying to work on yourself. But you're really not. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how I know you're really not working on yourself. Welcome to Disruptive Minds, where I'm your host, Jerome A. Carter, and the A stands for always learning. So how do I know that you're not working on yourself? We're going to start slow and work our way up. Many moons ago, I used to be a police. Imagine that, right? From 99 and 2011, about 12 years. J.A. Carter, Bass 2062, DeKalb County Police, DeKalb County, Georgia. And I used to work this area called Central North Harrison, right? It's in Stone Mountain. And in that area, it's a drug area. Whether it still is, it probably still is. Decades later, it still is. A lot of things just don't change. But what we would do, sometimes we would respond to calls of people who were having problems or drug problems or whatever, and they wanted to get help, right? So we would pick them up, then take them down to the DeKalb County Crisis Center, which is behind the hospital, the DeKalb Hospital. So we take them down to the crisis center, and they get them in there, and they clean them up, and they blah, 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 and whatever. And what happened? Boop! That person goes right back to where it's Central North Harrison. And people who know about Central North Harrison know what I'm talking about. People who know, put in the comments, will tell you that area is probably still the fucking same. Certain things just doesn't change, right? But that person ended up going right back to that area. So how is that helping them? Right? If you're trying to change, you're trying to work on self, but you're going back to the same place where you got messed up, how is that working on self? You got people who are like, I'm working on self, but guess where they're at? They're still around the same people, they're still around the same job, they're still around the same neighborhoods, they're still in the same area that put them in that situation. So how are you working on self in the same situation? In the place where you got to where the self needed to be worked on? I just make it. It blows my mind to be like, I'm working on myself. Okay, you left the bakery, right? So you want to work on self. You thin down a little bit. You're working out, but you go back to work at the bakery. You go back to the place that caused the problem. Back to the people who are still baking, still doing the same shit, still talking the same mess, and you wonder why you're working on self. People, this work on self is just blowing my mind. You hear it so much. Just work on self, I'm working on myself. Years of working on yourself, and you're still in the exact same place. Why? You still don't have a notebook. You still don't write things down. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What type of self-help are you doing? What books are you looking at? What classes are you taking? Yes, you could take classes online. Yes. All this COVID has shown that you have all this time to actually work on self. But most people are not going to work on self. Right? They're going to say they are, but they're really not. They're still watching TV. They're still having an extended period of time of doing absolutely nothing. They're not listening to people who are talking online about working on self, leaving your environment, writing things down. I'm not making all this stuff up. These are things that I've learned by listening to other people who worked on themselves. Getting away from people, getting away from environment. Some people still work the same job, still live in the same place. All this is relative to working on self. And it don't take really that long. It took me long to work on myself. Why? Because I was learning the psychology side of working on self while I was doing it at the exact same time. It was like trying to bake and make something good, and you're experimenting. It takes that much longer. Because you're baking it and you're waiting to see how it turns out. Then it's like, too sweet. You got to do this different. You go back and you just keep going back and forth and back and forth. Just like I saw, talk about Elon Musk. Right? Building a rocket. He built the rocket blew up, built the rocket, it blew up, flew back, blew up, fell down. But now he can build the rocket, fly, come back, refuel it, and keep doing it. So My question to you is, either you can start from the beginning and make rockets and blow them up, or go to Elon Musk and say, hey, how did you do this? And cut out all that middle, right? And that's where the problem was for me. There was nobody to turn to say, I want to cut out all this middle. I want to get right here and cut all this out. All this I want to cut out. I'm going to get right here. And I don't think people really want to reach out. So that's why I make these videos. The whole disruptive mind thing, that's what this whole thing is about. That disruptive mind is disrupting your life in a way that's making you feel uncomfortable and you don't know why or what you should do. And I'm giving you how I got to where I am today. I'm going to shorten your time from here to here. I'm going to shorten it. Going to make it very short, but that's if you follow what I'm telling you to do. Now, you can experiment yourself and take 15, 20 years of doing it. Good luck with that. Or you could take simple advice, shorten your time, and get to where you want to get to a lot faster. It's like consulting. People like, oh, I don't like consultants, I'm going to figure it out myself. You go ahead and do that. You go ahead and waste that 10, 15 years of figuring it out, or versus going to somebody who already got it figured out. And that's what I do when I watch videos on YouTube, or when I'm taking classes, or when I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm talking or listening to people who've already done it, and all I got to do is do what they say. Like making videos every day, writing in journals, putting money away in certain places, having emergency funds, doing what they've already done so I can get to where they are faster. But some people may look at this video and be like, I ain't gonna listen to him. Okay, well, you keep doing what you're doing, and you keep wasting this valuable time that we don't have. You keep wasting this time on, you'll figure it out, versus somebody who's already figured it out. Your biggest thing that I'm trying to get across in this video is you can't work on self, right? And then go back to the same environment that broke you in the first place. It just doesn't work. I mean, it's like, you got to remember, I don't know, a lot of y'all don't remember the Exxon Valdez that spilled all that oil in Alaska, and they were saving the ducks and all this other stuff and washing them off, blah, 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 right? You can't put the duck back in the same dirty water and think that he's going to be okay. You have to change your environment. You have to change the people you're around. You got to change the people you want to talk to. Now, if you want to try to help them at the same time, you can't do both. That's a whole put the mask on yourself first before you're able to help others. You get a little bit ahead, and then you want to go and pull others. It's too much time, energy, and effort. You're going to have to leave people behind. It's going to happen. It's not an if, it's a when. If you're really working on yourself, people are going to feel that you're working on yourself, and they're going to feel uncomfortable. So it's up to you to decide whether you want to stay in that environment, whether you want to stay around those people. I said in one of my older videos, as you start to elevate your energy, you start feeling different, you start wanting to do things and get things done, and you're around people who are like, hey man, let's watch TV, or man, let's go out here and get this done, let's go, that ain't gonna happen. And you go ahead and do it, you're going to start pushing those people away. They're going to start either following you or they're going to push you away. That's not an if, it's a when. I see it all the time. That there are a bunch of people who are just sitting around each other. There are a bunch of average and below average people sitting around each other talking about other people who are doing more than them. It makes no sense. Not to me. It don't make any sense. You can do what they're doing. It's not about luck. It's about hard work. It's about putting in the time. It's not about luck. It's about prayer. Like I talked to me, my uncle was talking the other day, talking about, okay, you're all prayed up. Now what? What are you going to do? You prayed up. You've been praying for 10, 15, 20, some of y'all been 30 some odd years, been praying, and you're still in the same place. Well, no, I'm not. I'm better than what I was. No, you're not. For 30 years of time, 30, 20, even 10 years. Let's say 10 years. 10 years. And you're still in the exact same place you were? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. You're not progressing. You're not progressing. At all. But you're okay with that. Why? Because other people around you are not progressing. So y'all are all not progressing together. So to you, it's 2 thumbs up. Since we're all not progressing, let's go on a trip together. So we can all celebrate our non-progression. We're celebrating our non-progression. We're celebrating the fact that we're exactly where we were. No better than where we were 10 years ago. Even if it's not physically no better, you could at least mentally be better than you were 10 years ago. Now, some people argue that, well, I'm mentally better. Because they want to say something to make themselves feel better for that 10 years of wasted time. Well, yeah, I'm mentally better. Okay, show me your journal. I don't have one. I just know I'm in a better place than I was 10 years ago. Okay. Because there's no way of verifying that. See, when you write something down, now you have verification to say whether your life is better or not. And I think that's why a lot of people don't want to write things down. Because once you write it down, now you can look at it and say, oh, you still live in the same place. You still have the same job. You still weigh the same. Wow. So 10 years is no... Well, I'm in a better place mentally. Yeah. I say all that to say, if you're going to work on yourself, you have to leave your environment you're in. It's just that simple. If you're not willing to leave the environment you're in because you want to take people with you, or you want to leave family behind, you want to leave friends behind, you want to leave your job behind, then stop saying you're working on yourself, because you're really not. It sounds good. It's a good cliche. You can tell people that. But when people like me hear something like I'm working on self, we just sit back and watch. And we see what part as you're working on. That's what we do. If we're quiet around you. If I'm quiet around you, I'm just watching you. I'm observing you. Because you really don't want me to start asking the tough questions. You really don't. Because what you'll try to do is turn around and ask me the tough questions. And then I'm going to start dropping names and places and people and verbiage that you're not going to understand. I'm going to start talking to you about past this generational curse bullshit that I keep hearing that. And then I love when people say, well, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I'm tired of hearing that bullshit too. I'm not expecting you to be perfect. Can you be 10% better than what you were? Can you be 1% better than what you were yesterday? Just 1% better than what you were yesterday. So if yesterday you ate cake before you went to bed, how about today you don't need a piece of cake before you go to bed? How about today you go for a walk around your neighborhood? How about today you drink some more water? 1% better. But nobody's perfect, and you expect people to be perfect, and blah, 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 blah. No, I don't expect you to own up to your shit, which most people aren't going to do that. Lord forbid you own up to your shit. I know I have shit with me. I'm very aware of that. I'm very cranial. I'm very, I think too much sometimes. I'm an overthinker. I know that. I analyze shit. I'm always looking to analyze things, looking at numbers, figuring out things, listening to smart people. You know what I'm saying? Listening to just smart people. and listening to audiobooks for hours. That's what I'm doing in the truck. We go to Dallas. It's going to be another almost 27 hours of driving. Out of that 27 hours of driving, I would say 18 hours-ish is going to be me listening to audiobooks and or YouTubes of people who are where I want to be, so I can go and follow what they're doing. And this is every week. That's why I'm so far ahead of people who are just like, I'm working on self. Well, what are you listening to? Do you know who Jordan Peterson is? Have you read the book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Murphy? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Do you know who Jim Rohn is at all? I know you probably heard of E.T., the hip-hop preacher. No, none of that. I'm listening to an audiobook now of You Know What to Do, But You Won't Do It. That's a pretty interesting audiobook. And it's teaching me some things about